Friends, where our solar system ends, there starts Kuiper Belt. And in Kuiper Belt, if any object is bigger than others, then that is Pluto. In fact, Pluto is at such a place where sunlight reaches less than 1%, and at that place, temperature goes down to -200 degrees Celsius, which is so cold that it will freeze your bones too. So just assume that Pluto is there where it is dark, cold, and maybe many more things which we will discuss in detail in today's video. So yes friends, today's video is going to be on Pluto. Because since I started making videos on space, since then I have always said in my videos that there are 8 planets in our solar system. Because if we search on Google, then Google also tells us that there are 8 planets in the solar system, in which Mercury is first and Neptune is the last planet. So friends, for you all, I will only say that don't take tension, because in today's video is Pluto. Maybe people want to know what happened with Pluto and why is it not considered a planet now. People have many questions about Pluto. And if we want to know the answer to all these questions, then we have to start the story of Pluto from the beginning. That means we have to go back in time. And from the discovery of Pluto to its downgrade, the complete story has to be discussed in detail. So as always, this video will also be very interesting. So keep watching it till the end. You are watching your own channel, Learn About World. So friends, if we talk about Pluto, then Pluto was considered a planet for 76 years. That means in 1930, when Pluto was first seen, it was declared as the 9th planet. And then from 1930 to 2006, that means for 76 years, it was considered a planet. So if you are a school kid before 2006, then you must have definitely read in your school books that there are 9 planets in the solar system and Pluto is the last planet. Well, Pluto was on the list of planets for a long time, so for people, it is difficult to digest that Pluto is not a planet anymore. Friends, in 2006, Pluto was removed from the list of planets and it was declared a dwarf planet. That means Pluto is not a planet anymore, but an asteroid. If you Google what Pluto's name is now, then Google will say asteroid number 134340. Now how did all this happen? Let's understand in detail. Friends, this story started in 1905. Because in 1905, there was a scientist whose name was Percival Lowell. He thought that Neptune is not the last planet, but there is another planet behind it, which is still hidden from our eyes. Because when he studied the orbits of Uranus and Neptune well, then he felt that something is disturbing the orbits of these 2 planets. And that thing is nothing else but a very big planet, which is called Planet X. Anyway, he wanted to discover Planet X, but unfortunately, he died and his discovery remained incomplete. Friends, there was also an observatory of Percival Lowell, whose name was Lowell Observatory. He died in 1915, and from 1915 to 1929, that is, astronomers who worked in his observatory for 14 years tried their best to find Planet X. But even after trying for 14 years, they were unsuccessful, and they did not find Planet X. Anyway, 14 years passed like this, and then in 1929, a new astronomer joined his observatory, whose name was Clyde Tombaugh. Friends, Clyde Tombaugh was a young astronomer. And in just 1 year, he did the work that no one could do in the last 14 years. And that work was to find Planet X. Yes friends, Clyde Tombaugh found Planet X. Clyde Tombaugh kept looking at the stars from the telescope for a year, and he kept trying to see a star that was moving. Because if a star moves, it means it is not a star, but a planet. Because stars are fixed in their place, but planets are not. So Clyde Tombaugh observed the stars for a whole year, and in January 1930, he finally found a star that was moving in its place. But when he observed the images of that star for several days, it was confirmed that it was not a star, but a planet. Because it was not fixed in its place, but it was moving from one point to another. So finally, he found a moving star, and thus Planet X was discovered. Friends, Planet X was discovered. But the problem was that astronomers were not able to decide the name of that planet. They started getting suggestions of many names, such as Venus, Atlas, Erebus, Persephone, Prometheus, etc. Anyway, they had a lot of names, but they did not think that any of these names would be perfect for this planet. So after getting a lot of suggestions, the name they liked the most was Pluto. Friends, the funny thing is that this name was suggested by a 11-year-old girl whose name was Venetia Burney. Venetia thought that Pluto was the name of a god who ruled the underworld. So if we look at Planet X was also at a place which is almost like the underworld, i.e. Kuiper Belt. And if you don't know about Kuiper Belt, then let me tell you for your information that a region starts in front of planet Neptune where trillions of objects are orbiting around the Sun in a circle, which includes a lot of asteroids, comets, dwarf planets, etc. So friends, this region of space is called Kuiper Belt. And if any object in Kuiper Belt is the largest, then it is Pluto. So maybe it's not wrong to say that Kuiper Belt is an underworld. And Pluto is the king of that underworld. So this was the reason that Planet X was named Pluto, and then in 1930 it was declared the 9th planet. Well, the 9th planet of the solar system. So friends, if we talk about the size of Pluto, in the beginning, scientists thought that Pluto is much bigger than Earth. And its size is also like Uranus and Neptune. But friends, it was not like that. Friends, as Pluto was studied, it was found that Pluto is neither bigger than Earth, nor it is like our Earth. In fact, it is smaller than our Moon. Yes friends, the size of Pluto is almost half of our Moon, and if we compare the size of Pluto with the Earth, then the Earth's width is 6 times bigger than Pluto, and if Pluto is filled in the Earth, then about 170 Pluto will fit in it easily. So you can guess how small Pluto will be. So this is the size of Pluto. Now let's talk about the distance of Pluto. So friends, if we talk about the distance, then Pluto is so far that even modern telescopes are not able to capture its images properly. Friends, Pluto is 7.4 billion kilometers or 49.4 astronomical units away from the Sun. And if you don't know about astronomical units, then let me tell you that the distance between the Sun and the Earth is called an astronomical unit in the language of science. That is, as Pluto is 49 astronomical units away from the Sun, it means it is 49 times farther from the Sun and Earth. And as I said that Pluto is so far from the Sun that even modern telescopes are not able to capture its images properly. So these are the images of Pluto taken by the Hubble telescope. In these, you can see how fuzzy Pluto is. Neither can you see the color of Pluto properly, nor can you see its details. So this was the reason that scientists were having trouble studying Pluto. And they had understood that if they wanted to study Pluto properly, then they would have to send a special spacecraft to Pluto. And with all this in mind, the name of the spacecraft was New Horizons. Friends, New Horizons is the only spacecraft that has ever been to Pluto. It was specially made so that it can go to Pluto. and show us its clear images and also study Pluto. So as soon as New Horizons reaches Pluto and takes its images, those images are something like this. Now in these pictures, you can see how clear the colors of Pluto are and the details of Pluto. Friends, New Horizons was launched in 2006, which then reached Pluto in 2015. That means it took it 9 years to reach Pluto. And what did it see in its 9 years of long journey? This is a very long topic, which we will discuss in some next video. So let's move ahead. Friends, New Horizons is the only spacecraft to go to Pluto. But before New Horizons, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were also launched to study the gas giants of our solar system. Voyager 1 studied Jupiter and Saturn, and Voyager 2 studied Uranus and Neptune. Now the fact is that if scientists wanted, they could have sent Voyager 1 and 2 to Pluto. But until then, they didn't think about it, and instead of sending them to Pluto, they sent these two spacecrafts to interstellar space. Friends, as we know that Pluto is 7.4 billion kilometers away from our Sun. So this distance is so far that there is no sunlight on Pluto. Friends, the sunlight on Pluto reaches less than 1%, and this is the reason Pluto's sky is so dark that you can easily see stars, even during the day. And similarly, if we talk about temperature, then Pluto's temperature is colder than all the planets, where Uranus' lowest temperature is -224 degrees Celsius. And Neptune's temperature is -214 degrees Celsius. Pluto's temperature is -233 degrees Celsius, which makes it colder than all the other planets. Friends, you will be surprised to know that all the planets in our solar system orbit is elliptical and not round. That is, all the planets do not orbit in a circle, but orbit in an egg-shaped path, which we call elliptical orbit. So all the planets' orbit is a little elliptical, whereas Pluto's orbit is extremely elliptical. In fact, it is so elliptical that sometimes Pluto comes ahead of Neptune in its orbit and becomes the 8th planet. And how does this happen? Let me explain. Friends, when Pluto is at the farthest point of the Sun in its orbit, its distance is 7.4 billion kilometers, which we call aphelion. And similarly, when Pluto comes at the closest point of the Sun, its distance is 4.4 billion kilometers, which we call perihelion, away at this point. And this has happened once. Friends, from February 1979 to February 1999, that is, Pluto was 20 years ahead of Neptune and was the 8th planet of the solar system, which is a very interesting thing. Similarly, if we talk about rotation, then Pluto also rotates clockwise like Venus and Uranus. Where all the planets rotate anticlockwise, these three rotate clockwise. Friends, Pluto is much smaller than Mercury and Venus in size, but Mercury and Venus don't have one thing which Pluto has, and that is moon. Yes friends, where Mercury and Venus don't have their own moon, Pluto has 5 moons, which are Nix, Styx, Hydra, Kerberos, and the most special Chiron. Because friends, Chiron is Pluto's biggest moon, which dances with Pluto. That is, it orbits around Pluto, but at the same time, it also orbits Pluto around itself, and all this is due to the large size of Chiron. Friends, the size of Chiron is about half of Pluto, and this is the reason that Chiron's gravity has a lot of effect on Pluto, due to which Pluto and Chiron keep rotating around each other. Well friends, when I was reading all this, I read one more interesting thing, and that is, if Pluto was not a planet, then today it would have been a moon of Neptune. Because many scientists believe that there was a time when Pluto and Triton both passed near Neptune. Pluto left near Neptune, but Neptune's gravity captured Triton and made it a moon. That is, if Pluto also came in Neptune's orbit, then today it would have been a moon of Neptune like Triton. Well friends, there is still a lot to tell about Pluto, but I think the video will be too long and you will get bored. So come on, I don't talk much and answer your question. That why is Pluto not a planet? So come on, let's talk about Pluto's downgrade. Friends, from 1930 to 2006, that is, Pluto remained a planet for 76 years. But in 2006, Pluto was removed from the list of planets. And why did this happen? Let's understand. Friends, the thing is that, apart from Pluto, there are many other objects that could have been made a planet. Like this dwarf planet called Ceres. If this dwarf planet is present between Mars and Jupiter, that is, in the asteroid belt, then it could also have been a planet. Apart from this, friends, there are many objects and dwarf planets in the Kuiper Belt orbiting around the Sun, like Eris, Haumea, Makemake, etc. So now if all these objects were made planets, then there would have been so many planets in the solar system that it would have been difficult to even remember their names. So thinking about all this, in 2006, the IAU, that is, the astronomers of the International Astronomical Union, set some conditions for a planet. According to them, if an object fulfills all these conditions, then that same object will become a planet. The planet should have a celestial body and should orbit around the Sun, which Pluto does. The planet should have so much mass that it can put itself in almost a round shape. So Pluto also fulfills this condition. The planet should not have a moon. So Pluto is not a moon. The fourth and final condition, its neighborhood should be clear in the orbit of the planet. Now what does this mean? Well, I didn't understand the meaning of this either, but after studying a lot, I understood it. Friends, this means that the planet should have at least this much gravity, so that it can keep its orbit clean. That is, it pushes anything that comes into its orbit out of its orbit by pushing its gravity, whether it is an asteroid or a dwarf planet. So unfortunately, Pluto could not fulfill this condition. Pluto does not have enough gravity to keep its orbit clean. And this is why Pluto was removed from the list of planets in 2006 and it was declared a dwarf planet. That is, a planet that is missing some of these conditions. So if you had read Pluto as a ninth planet in your books, then definitely you must be feeling a little sad now. Because this little Pluto used to be the favorite planet of small children as a child. So I hope you got the answer to all your questions and also got to learn something new from this video. You know how much study is done on these videos and then how much editing they have to do. So dude, I deserve at least one like on this effort. So make sure to like, and if you like to watch such amazing videos then follow and subscribe to my small channel. So I will meet you in some next video. Till then, Allah Hafiz.